Okay, welcome back to the United Podcast. We're here with Madhu and Thom Singer.
People with skills. Well, if somebody says, I want, a coder who can do this or whoever, with 5 years AI experience, well, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, right. I mean, it would be a topic.
Unless you were doing research at UT or you were working for one of these companies that have been using this technology and LMs for a long time, sort of behind the scenes.
Even then, it's like using it, you wouldn't even have 5 years.
Right. Nobody has 5 years experience.
So that's why it's like a little bit like, where do you go from here, But one thing I like to look to always is history repeats itself. So like an example I always use is like the assembly line of Tom Ford. Because like when that happened, people were saying it's going to be a recession. Nobody's going to have jobs. Nobody's going to be able to work. But what happened? Like he built the Model T. Everyone bought one. There's a million more jobs.
Because of Henry Ford, there were more jobs than before the assembly line. And I think the same thing is true. I mean, we can look at this, you can look at everything. When the internet came out, it was going to disrupt everything. And all it did was create more opportunities.
Yeah, it's going to create more. I'll tell you one thing. The content we are creating through AI, the code we are creating through AI, the whole creation happening through AI, humans has to deal with this stuff.
Well, I met with a marketing guy the other day, and he was out of work. And I said, how do you think AI is going to change marketing, which is going to be one of the areas that gets changed a lot?
Yeah.
And he goes, I don't know. And I said, well, you're out of work. You're looking for a job. You know what would be a great idea is every day, 3 hours a day, you could just use AI to teach you how marketing, ask AI, how is it going to happen? Or take a class. And weeks later, he's like, when he goes to interviews, he hasn't got a job yet, but when he goes to interviews, he's able to talk like an expert on the future just from 3 hours a day for several weeks. He now goes into an interview and he talks about the changes AI is bringing. And he said, everybody is commenting on the fact that he's so far ahead. So if you're young and you're wondering where your career is going to go, or if you've been laid off and you're wondering where your career is going to go, you dang well better be learning how it's going to affect your industry. I'm looking all the time at how is it going to affect the nonprofit membership world. And, there's changes. There's things I might do, my board and I might do with ATC that are drastically different because the world is changing. I don't want to be ahead of the game because if you're wrong, but at the same time, you've got to stay on top of it and be looking at your industry, your skill set. How is it going to change it? And then all you have to be able to do is talk the talk a little bit better than the next guy. And that puts you in a better position.
Yeah, totally.
Because nobody has the experience.
No. How much open source code we have right now? It's crazy, right? But I always tell in our team meetings is, did you read through the code? What this code does, what we can pick it up and recode it. I think these are the custom. That's where the skill set is going to be really, really powerful. AI is going to create what it is going to create. And we are always have that gap of intelligence because humans, we think linear. Yeah. We think in our table, what is there in this table?
Right.
AI is going to think when it is going, it's going to think whole building.
There's another table upstairs. There's a table over there. Yeah.
And it's going to put a logic that human is not going to address it very quickly. It's going to take time to understand. What we're creating is a maze. How to untangle the maze is going to be a big, big challenge. Especially the projects I'm dealing with in the state of Texas is some of this code is old. You give it to AI, it's going to freak out how you're running this state, right? And then it creates something, you have no human to read that. You think so AI is going to we are too early for AGI to come and solve every problem. We are not integrated. Enterprise inside itself is not integrated. Their project has silos. That is their biggest problem right now. They have different teams, don't want to share the data.
Yep.
Oh, I'll give you API. What API can do? You send a key.
Well, taking this back to Austin, a lot of that Wall Street Journal article and others are like, all the high-end AI stuff's taking place in the Valley. Well, it's true. The Valley has an advantage of size.
Yeah.
And that. But there are so many companies here in Austin that are using AI, that are developing AI, that are doing things that I think Austin is in a position that we're going to have some major breakthroughs on how we do some of these things right here. And that's why I think, all these articles that are negative on Austin, it's always people who were here 6 months or a year who hated it and left. Real Austinites are scrappy. They roll up their sleeves and they figure things out. And when I look at the entrepreneur set and the business set that's in Austin, people are here for a reason. They want to make it work, and they are going to do some amazing things. But if we remember, nobody has an advantage right now because it's all so new. Even when it comes to how are we going to change, you know, the world of technology, it's not just up to the Valley. It's up to everybody. It's up to Austin. It's up to Phoenix. It's up to Nashville. It's up to Miami. It's up to all these places. And if we can start working together, the idea of the tech hubs competing, I think, is over.
Yeah.
I think now it's, especially because now you have remote work. It used to be if Diane started a company and 4 years from now she had 6,000 employees, most of those employees would have been in Austin. Now Diane can start that company and 5 years later, 6,000 employees, she's the only person in Austin. Is she really impacting our local community?
Yeah.
Well, maybe not.
No.
So the way we have to look at things now is we are truly in that global world that we've been talking about for 2 decades. We're really living in it. And I think that what Austin needs to do differently is we need to come together and plant our flag for what we're good at and what we're doing. And we're doing so many different things. We're not just semiconductor and software anymore. We're fintech, we're medtech, we're AI, we're deep tech, we're space tech, we're everything.
Yeah.
And I think we need to plant these flags of when these groups work together, the collision of that is where the magic happens. And so I'm excited about where we're going, but I'm also very cautious because I'm starting to see fiefdoms appear and people who don't mix with these people. And that's what happens in New York and Valley. You get the little cliques and the little clubs. Mm-hmm. And when that happens, you're going to have cliques. You're going to have cliques and clubs, but if everybody's respectful and plays together, I mean, that's what Austin was 20 years ago. If you start getting people walled off, if somebody has to be king or the center of everything, that becomes an issue for the whole ecosystem. So we need to realize that it's not, how can a young entrepreneur pull a chair to the table? It's not a table. Austin should have 20 tables. And those tables, everybody should be able to self-select which table is right for them, but there should be seats somewhere for everybody. And that's what we need to do. Young entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs of color, women, people who've otherwise been marginalized. Austin is a city that's poised to really help those people start businesses and do things. And we're not doing as well as we could with that. So I think we need to lead with that as well.
Yeah. And to add to your point, Austin is blessed with a generation. You have more young talent. They love to be in Austin. They like the culture. They like the vibe. Yeah. That's the beauty of the city. You not only, we can talk about all the business side of it, personal life, more healthy. You see all this healthy.
Yeah. Well, when I moved here, the average age of an Austinite was about 28.
Yeah.
Today, that was 700,000 people 34 years ago. Today, the average age of an Austinite is about the same thing.
Yeah.
And we're 2.5 million, which means young people are coming here in droves. And when young people are coming, that's when a city has a future. So these people,
they want to have a family,
right,
kids.
Well, they want to have a family, they want to have kids, they want to put down roots. But young people also can take risks.
Yeah.
They also can morph with the changes that are going on.
Yeah.
I find it interesting when 25-year-olds are like, "Oh, the world's changing too fast." It's like, well, fasten your seatbelt. Try being 59.
Yeah.
You think the world's changing fast? My God.
We have seen it.
I mean, I was listening to a podcast the other day about the founding of the corporation Visa. And it talked about that it was Bank of America card and it was California only. My parents had a Bank of America card, and MasterCard was called MasterCharge. I remember these things. This was the 70s. I remember the bicentennial of the United States. These are things that, were a long time ago, and the change happened slowly.
Yeah.
Well, now the change is happening fast. And so if you're young, you're able to adapt to it. So young people are moving here. And I think those of us who are a little seasoned gray, we need to embrace those young people. You do a great job of bringing young people into your company and mentoring them and stuff like that. That's what Austin needs to do.
Yeah.
And we need to get them to put down roots so that when they start having their best earning potential and their chances, they're doing it right here.
Yeah. I always talk to my team, what I can give is motivation, nurture you guys, the experience we gain, we need to pass on.
Yep. Well, and that's a problem we're having right now in our society is generational transfer of knowledge
Yeah.
isn't happening because people aren't working in the office across generations. So many people are working remotely that if you're 30 and you don't know anyone in your industry who's 60, you lose because you're not getting that knowledge transfer. But also the senior people lose because the work they've done isn't their knowledge isn't being shared with the next generation.
Yeah.
So we have to work on this cross-generational networking.
Yeah. They need to get out of the silos and do a team together. And we promote a lot in our company, which is we tell the AI group is like, you guys need to meet regularly, daily. We have a first item on our task list, action item every day morning meeting is what you guys did a brainstorming. So that's we talk about. It's all about cumulative. One idea can stimulate 100, right?
Yeah.
The
Oh, for sure.
outcome of that is going to be powerful. That's what I always say. Everybody comes with a different angle, different skill set. You all come together. We have more hands now. We are more powerful. We can move the mountains. So that's the attitude, right? Because I understand some people want to be work silo. I get it, but the world is changed now.
Well,
We got to work with the team.
And the problem is if you're too siloed, you're not going to have the opportunities.
Yeah.
Because people aren't going to know. A young man I know who worked for a mid-sized tech company, growing tech company in the Valley during the pandemic, they were told fully remote, you won't be punished for moving away.
Yeah.
So he moved his family up to Thom because he thought it was a better place to raise his kids. And last year or so, a promotion came up and he was passed over. It went to somebody else, but his boss had told him it was probably his. And he said, what happened? And they said, well, she's in the office. The person who got the promotion's in the office every day, and you live in Tahoe. And he told me, they said they weren't going to punish me for not living in Silicon Valley. And I said, they didn't punish you. They just didn't reward you.
Yeah.
It's like, people, we get to know people through shared experiences, and Zoom is nice, but it's not as good.
Yeah.
So it's sitting across the
In
table,
person.
being able to talk, going to lunch, that group that goes to happy hour, that matters. And so if anybody's listening to this who's younger, who goes, oh, I hate when they say, oh, we're going to happy hour, I just run home. Maybe once in a while.
Missing a big conversation.
And I like one guy I know, he goes out all the time. He doesn't drink. He's chosen not to drink.
That's okay.
But he doesn't care. He orders a 7-Up or something. And he says, because that's where it's happening. It's like it used to be everything took place for the big companies on a golf course.
Yeah.
And now there's lots of things that people do socially. They're out on boats. They're doing this. They're hanging out in the office, whatever. But if you're not face to face with people in your company and in your industry, you can't complain 10 years from now when you're like, why did she get the opportunity?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think the leadership, if you want to be a leader, if you want to get into the ladder,
Yep.
You got to be on the ground with the company and show the company you can grow.
And have people skills.
Yeah.
And those are learned.
Yeah.
Those are learned. But, if you're in Austin and you're like, I don't even know where to start, like you said, there's a meetup every day. Mm-hmm. But you can just start looking at the organizations that exist that have lunches, breakfasts, happy hours, meetups. They used to be, and I don't think it's true anymore because we've grown so much and the pandemic wasn't kind to membership organizations. But they used to say that Austin had more business nonprofits per capita than any city in the country because we have so many entrepreneurs. They just want to start a new, a new nonprofit. And a lot of them didn't make it after the pandemic and all that. But there are still, the Austin Technology Council. We have you don't have to be a member to come. Anybody can come, and it's not expensive. The breakfast is $15 if you're a member, $25 if you're not. And it's not about like we're serving a nice breakfast. We're just doing, fruit and yogurt and stuff like that. But it's get in the room, and it doesn't have to be ATC. Pick a group. But people are like, oh, it's too expensive. Well, once a month, $2,500. I'm sorry, once a month, $25 is not that expensive to go to a networking breakfast. Pick another one. A lot of these meetups are free, and they're like, well, I go, it's not the right people. Then go to something else. Yeah. Every single week, you should have a name tag slapped on your chest somewhere. Yeah. You got to go there. I mean, I've done so many. Now I'm not that regular than before with all the meetings we have from 6. The team in India has different time zone. So they're working until midnight. So I have to be clear all their meetings as we growing in that space. I think we're into something, and I think we are we're looking for those young talent and dynamic, innovative people to our organization. Yeah. Anything else? All right. I'll leave you with this.
Okay.
I think now is the best time for Austin, Texas. But the only way people are going to be able to cash in on the next 5, 10 years of the best thing is they have to show up. I say it every time. Real leaders show up. And so you've got to get face to face with something in the community on a regular basis, because if you're out of sight, you're out of mind. If you're unknown, opportunities can't come. And you need it as an individual, but as a community, Austin needs you. We need you. We need you. We need everybody.